to the Red Raider Coaching Show. I'm your host Shane Bill, along here with head coach Kyle Langford, and we're going to today talk a little bit about the Jeff Davis game. We're going to talk about leading up to the Jeff Davis game. We're going to talk about this week, which is homecoming and all the festivities and all the things that go on with homecoming, with the upcoming game against Toombs County. Coach, first of all, we'd like to give a shout out to our church who supplied the meal this week. Y'all came to the school instead of going to the church. I don't know if that works better or worse for you, but
I think as long as you're eating good, either one works fine for us, and that worked out real good. We had Southside Church of God, Brother Carver and them, man, they did a really outstanding job. We came in after the school day, and they had everything laid out for us, and we immediately were able to sit down and eat. And then he shared a quick message with the young men, and it really worked out good. And the barbecue is fantastic. So once again, we're undefeated when it comes to eating pregame meals, and that was really good this Friday as well.
Jumping right into last week, we'll first go over details first as far as injuries. Did we come out of Friday night unscathed? Do we have any injuries to speak of coming in to the homecoming week?
Well, you know, nobody hurts after you win, and so it seemed like everybody felt good. We had a real good, vigorous day of practice today, and we kind of picked right back up with the emotion that we finished with Friday night and ended up having a real good day today. So if anybody's hurt, they hadn't told me, so I think everybody's doing well and feeling good right now.
We know it was evident on the field Friday night with all the cramping that went on our side. Is there anything to talk about there? What's going on with that? I mean, we haven't seen that in a while.
I haven't seen it.
And I know from being on the sidelines, you could cut the humidity with a knife Friday night. It was just horrible as far as the humidity, and the boys were coming off. I know a couple that I know, Bloodsworth, I mean, he was just saturated and was cramping up real bad. But how do you explain what's going on Friday with all the cramping?
Well, I think a lot of it is we're asking, and this is my best guess, is we're asking a lot of those guys who are not used to playing both ways that, you know, maybe have played 40, 45 plays in a game. Now we're asking them to turn around and play 85 or 90 plays. And I think that's part of it. I think our pregame hydration, even though, you know, all day Friday from the time they get to breakfast to the end of the day, they have fluids available to them. But I think we've got to do a better job and take it on maybe to Wednesday even, and start hydrating them on Wednesday and start giving them the electrolyte supplements that they need. And I think that'll help out a lot. One thing is just making them drink it. You know, they may drink a little bit, but when you're out there in a condition like that, when the humidity's so high and you're giving every bit of effort you got, you know, cramping's a real possibility. And a lot of those guys are lean. They don't have a lot of fat. And that lean muscle tends to cramp up a little easier than the other way around. So that's something I've just got to do a better job of. And I think we've addressed it in the coaches meeting this weekend. And so starting earlier this week, we're going to go ahead and start hydrating them, make sure they're ready to go.
Do you think anything has to do with the morning practice being cooler and us not adapted to the warmer climate at night? Does that play a part in it, you think?
Well, the one thing I don't think that does, but we are practicing, you know, we are going out on Thursday afternoon now, so in the back of my mind I'm wondering, hey, are we out there Thursday afternoon when it's a lot hotter for an hour and a half, and are we wasting a lot of fluids like that maybe aren't getting replaced? That's something that's crossed my mind, because that's something we hadn't done the last couple of years, is go out Thursday afternoon. So, you know, that's something I'm going to have to take a look at, and if we think it gives us any advantage, and this week obviously we will go back to Thursday morning practice. So, you know, if we can see a noticeable difference between the cramps of last Friday and maybe none this Friday, then maybe Thursday mornings we're going to have to start going back with, and that's okay too.
Yeah, and hopefully, I know this week, looking at the weather before we came on, it's still supposed to be pretty warm Friday night. There's even a chance of rain, so there may be even more humidity coming in again this Friday. But so I guess the positive thing to take out is we don't have any substantial injuries to talk about. Talk about Xavier Haseman. There's a chance I talked to him on the sidelines Friday that he may be back this Friday in some kind of capacity.
Maybe, yeah, he could. I guess he could be dressed out, but you know, we're going to put him through a vigorous workout, because we got to make real, you know, for sure. And if he just feels good, then that's not good enough to compete, you know. because this is a dangerous and serious game. So we'll run him through all the paces and make sure that we have checked him off before he would get any contact or anything of that nature. So I would still guess he's probably a couple weeks out before he'd really be able to contribute for us.
Okay. Well, Coach, we just got put up there. We want to give a shout out for our breakfast crew real quick before we move on to the next part here. Breakfast this week was DLE's Taylor Farms / Pine Timbers slash Pine Timber. Again, they make and Coach can attest to it. Breakfast for these guys every Friday morning. This past Friday, pancakes, eggs, sausage, the whole big deal. So it's a big deal. A lot of these kids are getting them proper nutrition all day long, and most of the week y'all. And talk about a little bit. Y'all still feeding them peanut butter and different things through the week, and they're still getting protein in the weight room and stuff. So there's a lot of stuff that goes on as far as trying to keep these kids properly with the proper nutrition, not just on Fridays but through the whole week.
And you'd be amazed how much easier it is getting them out to bed Friday morning when they know they're fixing to go eat this fantastic breakfast. So, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we got early morning practice. Sometimes we have to drag them out to bed and let's get going. On Friday mornings, man, they waiting by the road for me and they ready to go eat just like the coaches are. So it makes it a lot easier getting them out of bed knowing they got that reward that they're looking forward to.
And they get an extra hour or so of sleep too on
That's
Friday. That's a big deal. So. All right, Coach, well, we're going to move right into Friday night. We're going to talk about Jeff Davis, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Good thing is we come up with a win.
That's a great thing.
Yeah. Bad things, we had a lot of cramping. And I talked to Coach Kate after the game, and one of the things we were talking about was all the substitutions, and it seemed like miscommunication on the sideline. That was everybody saw that. He was saying it was from the cramping and didn't know who y'all had in there. Well, I'll give you a chance to elaborate a little bit about that, talk about that, what was going on.
Well, it's a problem when you have a guy that's cramping or a guy that something may be wrong with, and then they don't let anybody know. So then you've got a guy laid back behind the crowd, and you're saying, what's going on? And we don't know to get a replacement. Whereas if we can get some communication going to where, hey, Coach, I'm starting to cramp. Let's deal with it, and we'll get a sub in, then that's a simple fix. Mm-hmm. So it makes it bad when you even got one like that. But then when it seems like you get 3 or 4 hits y'all at once, and nobody's communicating anything, and part of it's because they're hurting, but they don't communicate with our staff, and we've got plenty of people on the sidelines to help them, and so we don't know who to get in. And we look out on the field, well, we got 2 people out. Well, what's going on? Well, they're laid back there cramping. So we've got to do a better job communicating with each other and getting those position coaches alerted to the fact of what's going on so that they can get the next guy in. Now, on the bright side is, every time we substitute, we got a positive outcome. We put in guys, freshman, sophomore, and that generally tended to be the only replacements that we put in there. But those guys all got in there and did a very good job, and it's going to, in turn, create more playing time for them this week. So we still, we say we're a young team and this and that, and I think we're even going to get younger as the season goes. And I would expect we'll have as many as 2 or 3 more sophomores and maybe another freshman or 2 that's going to play this Friday night. Because we've said this from day one, our allegiance isn't to playing guys just because they've been there a while. Our allegiance is putting the best 11 on the field on both sides of the ball, and that's what we care about. And if you don't want to compete at practice and you don't want to work hard and you don't want to do what's necessary to play and start, then there's nothing we can do for you. We're going to go to the next guy. And so that's something I'm excited about, because we've talked about that since day one. We got to compete at practice. We got to have competition. And that's nice to say, but if you don't have people really competing, then it's just lip service is all it is. Mm-hmm. So I think we are getting better competition at practice. I've enjoyed the way they're getting after it the last couple of weeks. And what they're starting to get now is more parity between the starting group and the scout team. And there's some days we have pretty good battles. So we've recognized that, and we're going to get those guys on the field and get those guys a chance to play. And all we want is guys contribute to Bacon County football, and want guys contribute to winning.
All right. And I said we were talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly. I said probably the ugliest thing I found out was the flags. When we were flagged 17, Jeff Davis 19.
I think it's vice versa.
Well, one of the two.
Yeah, I think we were 19, they were 17.
So what do we do? What do you do as a head coach to alleviate some of that? Because a lot of that was just discipline on as far as illegal procedures and stuff like that. What do you do as a head coach to get that?
Well, there are two kinds of flags. There's the flags of aggression and there's flags of stupidity. And we have a lot more leniency on flags of aggression.
Mm-hmm.
If you're an aggressive sort of player, we don't condone it, but we can correct that and modify that because maybe you're just too physical. And that was the case on probably 2 or 3 flags. We're just too physical. Am I going to go nuts about that? No. Try not to do it next time, but we're not going to say, hey, Johnny, pull back half a step on that sidelines. If you got a chance to hit somebody and the whistle ain't blown, you better go get them. We'll worry about the rest later because obviously somebody didn't do a good enough job controlling the play and controlling when a guy's out of bounds and when he's not. So I don't blame our kids on that one. If we jump off sides on defense, that's a flag of aggression. And I don't even think that happened. But that's wanting to get after football. Now, a false start on 4th and 4, that's a flag of stupidity. And we'll correct that, and we've started modifying that today. But it seems like when you get in a game like that and the flags start flying, it's like a lot of them come from no rhyme or reason. Now, I do think most of the flags against us were warranted, but it just seemed like everything started snowballing. Neither team could really get into a rhythm. Neither team could settle in because you knew a flag was coming every other play. And that's about what it ended up being, you know.
Yeah, well, whether I had the 19 or 17, and I talked to the broadcaster from Jeff Davis' side, and he said the same thing. He said that most everything there was warranted. There was no.
Right.
And I do think the officials were warned ahead of time. This being a rivalry, you know, you better keep the game in check or get out of here in a hurry. And I think that's where a lot of that was coming from.
And let me say on the flip side, you know, with 36 penalties and all this and that, I thought it was one of the cleanest played games by both groups of men. And it was the cleanest game of any Jeff Davis team we've played in 3 years. And they played with a lot of class. They played with a lot of effort. And I was super impressed with their young men and the way their boys played because there was not a bit of talking going on that field Friday night. And there wasn't no back and forth. It was two teams that really wanted to win and really knew they had to win. And so I give them a lot of credit. I give their coaches a lot of credit for the way their boys played because I was proud for them. You couldn't be more proud of the way their kids played. And ours too, for that fact.
And we actually talked about Friday night. Earlier in the game I saw with Jeff Davis was tackled over on our sidelines, and our guys picked him up, slapped him on the tail, and sent him back on the field instead of in the pass. But a lot of other going on. But get more specifically, defense number 21. We had a hard time containing him defensive end. We couldn't turn it in. Is that something that was a problem against Jeff Davis, or we're just defensive end and we have an issue there?
No, it was an alignment thing. They put you in a bind a little bit the way that they play, and we played them straight up, just like a regular any other 4-3 team would do. And in hindsight, knowing that his inability to probably throw the ball very well, we probably would have done a couple of things different, and we ended up doing that toward the end. But you know, until you know, you don't know, and the kid only played one game prior to that. So we tried to play it straight up with beyond a reasonable doubt and try to keep him hemmed up. And, you know, because we knew he would play a good bit, but he played a little more at quarterback than I thought he would. I thought the Mets kid may play a little bit more, and he did not. And so that certainly changed what we were trying to do. And but he's a good enough player. He's going to get plays on just about everybody he plays. And but he's really talented, and maybe the best individual player from an athlete perspective as anybody we played this year, I'd say.
Well, we've talked about the bad and the ugly, but positive. I know a lot was said about our punter. Friday night did a great job of flipping the field several times when they were in his face and did that.
And had one kick, had one punt of 54 yards, which is you know, anytime you can do that, that's a true flip of the field. And all of his punts are very good, but that one in particular really stuck out in my mind.
Yeah, special teams again, I think played a big part in that Friday night. So, Coach, before we close this part of this segment, what's the positive you take from Friday night and moving forward?
Well, the biggest positive, and we talked about this today, is just one step closer to the playoffs. And that's our goal from the get-go. We knew that, you know, and we told them as much, because these kids are not stupid, and they understand when we explain things to them, that the team that lost that game is going to be really behind the 8 ball in a very difficult situation. And the team that wins that game now puts yourself into a position to take another step. And I think we came in practice with a lot more confidence because of that win. You can't not have confidence. You know, we played well, take care of the football, capitalize on mistakes. We got inside the 30 4 times and came away with 0 points. And, you know, I'm just glad we got down there 4 times. The rest of it was on me. I can take care and clean up the rest of it. But the fact that we did move the ball and we did have some success, and once again, throwing-wise, I think we're around 175 throwing, and we didn't even throw it all that much. We were 10 of 16 for 175, so that's another good night of passing when we really weren't even trying to. The run game, that first series, was just like you draw it up, and then I think the fumble down there at the 2 or whatever, I think that really took a lot of momentum out of us. If we go in and score there, then I think we can keep on hammering. And so we've got to do a better job of that and seize that opportunity when it's there. We worked so hard on getting off the football and being physical, and I thought at times we really looked the part. And the running backs have got to do their part too, because it's easy. We told them this morning, it's always easy to say, well, that offensive line, they ain't doing nothing. But the offensive line has responsibility in it. The doggone quarterback does, and the running backs do too. And they've got to run the ball harder and be more physical, and they've got to be tougher. And the quarterback's got to make sure he lets them know. I told Cooper, I said, we get down there at the 2, that's not a time to be silent and the crowd screaming. You have to be loud, make sure everybody understands this is the play, so that there's no confusion and we don't screw up like we did Friday night. And I think we'll take care of that. And I can't see anything but just better days for us. You know, it's like the weight's been lifted off your shoulders, and this is a really good team. And I wish they would just play, relax and play. And I don't put any pressure on them, I can assure you. If you can't have fun and play for me, then you may not can play, I don't know. But we try to let them go out there and play free and easy and loose, and we want to play fast. But we want to play a certain way too, and have a lot of class and a lot of discipline. So, you know, I feel like we're moving in that direction.
All right, Coach, well, we're going to take a quick break, and we come back, we're going to talk about homecoming week, and then there's actually a football game Friday night too with all this going on. We're playing Toombs County. We'll be right back after this quick message. Welcome back, everybody. We're going to talk about homecoming, Coach. First of all, every coach has to deal with the distractions of homecoming week. And two, we've got to put it in perspective. This is high school kids. This is part of growing up in high school, getting to enjoy these things too. But also there's a football game Friday night that they got to prepare for. So how do you deal with this week? How do you prepare this week? And what's your philosophy going into homecoming week?
You know, it's slightly inconvenient in the fact that their attention is drawn in so many different directions. But like you said, they're young people. They're going to remember this the rest of their lives, good Lord willing. And I think for us, instead of going in and saying, yeah, we ain't worried about all this and this, I think it's better that you come up with a plan and say, you know what, this homecoming stuff is very important to a lot of people. The festivities are important to a lot of people, and that's for them to enjoy. And there are parts of it that we want the football team to enjoy. But just understand where all your focus needs to be. You know, your focus is on winning a football game against a very good football team and the third-rated highest rusher in the state. That's where your attention needs to be. Now, on Thursday afternoon when the parade starts, will that be time to put some attention on the parade? Sure there will. And then there'll be time for other festivities on the weekend as well. But the best way I could explain it to them is this. all the homecoming festivities, that is for the fans. And it's for the fans to enjoy, and it's the time for them to celebrate you and celebrate coming together and playing a football game. So let them enjoy it. You know, there's no sense in us walking around, you know, kicking tin cans and throwing rocks at people and being mad at the world, because homecoming's been here a lot longer than all of us, and it's going to keep being here. So I think you just put it in the right perspective and make sure they understand, and they're old enough and most of them are mature enough that if you guide them in the direction you want them in, they'll be okay. And we say, guys, have a good time. Encourage everybody to have a good time at the ball game. Let's have a good time at parade. But we don't have homecoming just so we can have a parade. You know, we have homecoming because there's a big football game on Friday night, and there's a lot of people who want to see it and a lot of people interested. So we've been over that, and we're going to let them have a good time, and the coaches are going to have a good time too. And it's like what I told the coaches yesterday in our meeting, you know, we're going to be there at that homecoming parade with them, every single coach with a role. I've assigned each of them roles and jobs. So we're going to make sure, I think if we're there, then that's going to help guide them to being a little more focused and a little more responsible for doing the right thing. I love our boys, but I don't trust many high school boys when it comes to you cutting them loose on the back of a truck and saying, well, maybe they'll do right. You know, maybe they will, but we're going to be there with them just to make a little extra sure. I might have me a switch or something, you know, in my back pocket if I need to. But I think the boys are going to do good, and I know everybody really enjoys this. This town here probably goes crazier over homecoming than any place I've ever been, and that ain't bad. That just means there's a lot of passion, a lot of excitement. So I'm excited for it too.
Well, just give us a reason to celebrate. We're going to do it.
That's it. Hey, and hopefully after the game Friday night, we might extend the parade and run it. We may run the parade back after Friday night. I think that'd certainly be worthwhile.
And while we're talking about though, the parade is 4:30 Thursday is when the parade starts, and there's a different route for the parade this year because of some different rules and regulations this year. And that's on the Bacon County School District website or Facebook site. If you go there and look, and maybe we'll try to get on the website as well. But there is a different route this year. The actual homecoming festivities where they name the queen and all that is prior to the game. It starts at 7 o'clock, and then the dance is Saturday at 7 o'clock. So there's a little update on some of the times what's going on this week. But at 7:30 on Friday there's a football game, and we play Toombs County. Coach, give me the breakdown on Toombs, what we got to do, the keys to beating Toombs Friday night, and what we cannot do if we're going to win the game.
Well, I would like to tell you they're not very good, but I can't. Coach Richie Marsh, I've known him for quite a while, and he's an excellent coach. And I'm going to tell you this, and this has been really the case all year, and it seems like the coaching throughout this area and throughout the state just keeps getting better and better. And they are really a well-coached team, and they have really played good football. And Bryan County is an outstanding football team, and they dismantled Bryan County Friday night, and it wasn't close. The running back, like I said, he's rushed for 712 yards in 3 games. And the first game, he only had 51 yards. So you do the math on that. He's a very dangerous player. He looks to be 5'11", 190 pounds, and can really run. It reminds me a little bit of his physical build of Demetrius, except with the ability to run really fast, which is no knock on Demetrius. But he's really good. I thought they were very physical on both sides of the line. And the quarterback's also a very skilled player, and he can go. So it's a dangerous team. They present a lot of problems, and I know they're going to be coming in here on a high horse after playing as well as they played the last couple of weeks. And, you know, our boys, we've looked at the film, and they know the problem that Toombs presents. But doggone it, you know, we've still got to play. And we've got to do our job. We want to be successful just as much as Toombs County does. And they're coming here, and I think anytime you play at home, there's a certain responsibility you have to your fans that support you. And we had a great crowd here Friday night, and you owe them something. You owe them to play a certain way. You owe them to play with certain energy and effort. And so I think we'll be prepared to do that Friday. And I think it's going to really be a great game. And if we can get enough people around number 6, the running back, I think we can make it a great game.
Just looking at what I have them on huddle, they're very physical, athletic up front,
Right.
Offensively and defensively. Good running backs. Special teams, they have a
Oh, the
kicker.
kickoff, we can forget about that. I saw him kick 2 of them through the end zone.
Okay.
Through the end zone. So they've got a big old talented kicker. Special teams looks very good, and but then again, our special teams is getting better too. So I think maybe we can make that a wash the way Dylan's been playing lately, and Ronaldo's getting a little better. So I think that we'll be fine there. I think the whole key is offensively taking care of the football and being very multiple. You know, I'm not going to tell you we're not going to throw it 40 times because we may, but we still got to run the doggone football with a little bit more success than we've had. And like I said, we've improved this past week, but we've got to do it on a consistent basis, and we've got to be able to call up a play and say, this is what we're going to hang our hat on. And right now, we just don't have it. For whatever reason, we don't have it. But we're getting closer to getting it. And having Dawson back certainly added another dimension to us at quarterback, because that's a guy you can't account for. And him and Cooper, they both played well Friday night, and they'll both play well again this Friday night.
No, talking about that, are you sticking with just? Do you feel more comfortable bringing your quarterback over, or I know we?
I don't have a preference. I thought, and our game plan going in was after 21 got rolling a little bit, hey, let's slow it down and keep 21 off the field as much as we can. So that was our thinking there, and with the exception of the last, 6 minutes of the ball game, that worked out good for us. So we don't have a preference. We hurried up a little bit toward the end. We hurried up a little bit before the half, and we can go faster as we want to. I just think for us, me seeing things maybe different than the quarterbacks do, I like to be able to get my 2 cents in before we go out and run a play too. And hopefully it helps them out a little bit.
Well, Coach, we definitely are hoping for a victory Friday night. We would love to go. Right now, we're 1-0 in region. We're on the top of the region leaderboard if you look right now, because BA becomes before B and the rest of them, so we're on top. But we want to keep that rolling if possible. And we encourage any fan that's out there. But it is homecoming. It's a special time to come back and see folks you haven't seen in a while. Come out, if you haven't been out to the new stadium yet, come out to Raider Field and see a football game and see some friends, and hopefully see a Red Raider victory Friday night. So. And
you're getting to take a look at one of the top running backs in the state, and this guy's a highly recruited tailback, and boy, he'll be exciting to watch, and I hope he spends most of his time, on his back or behind the line of scrimmage, but I'm excited about seeing him too. I might not be after Friday night, but I told the guys today, it's something a little extra. Anytime you're facing a guy that's a highly thought of, maybe a highly recruited player, that ought to get you going a little bit more. I mean, it defines your focus, and so hopefully we'll be there.
So again, parade Thursday at 4:30. The homecoming festivities start Friday at 7 o'clock. That's not halftime. It's at 7 o'clock before the game starts. And then the homecoming dance is Saturday at 7 o'clock. So, but most of all, football Friday at 7:30. And Coach Duck, just being reminded, Coach Duck is the Grand Marshal of the homecoming parade Thursday. So if nothing else, come out and see Coach Duck. He's doing good right now, doing better. Come out and encourage him too. One of probably Bacon County's biggest football fans. So till next week, we'll see you. I'm your host Shane Bennett, along with Coach Kyle Langford. We'll see you next week.